Let's move on to tennis, where fans are witnessing a renaissance featuring tennis legends Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal. So here's the question. Will we see more classic battles between Federer and Nadal this year? Well, let's ask Jonathan Scott, writer for Tennis.com, and he now joins us live via Skype from Indianapolis. Good morning, Jonathan. Welcome to Sports Desk.
Hello. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us tonight. And so, do you expect to see more Federer-Nadal classic battles for the rest of 2017?
I think in 2017 we will see that fourth match between Rafa and Roger, but I don't know that it's going to come before we get to the hard court season. Roger said in winning the Miami title that he planned to play at the French Open next in Paris, so that leaves very few opportunities, obviously, for them to collide before we get to the grass and then to the hard court season ahead of the U.S. Open. They'd have to meet at the French Open for us to see them again before we get to the grass. And I think we could see that potentially in a final or, who knows, a quarter or semi, depending on what the draw shakes out to be.
Last year was a very depressing year if you are a Rafa fan and a Federer fan because of injuries. And now these two men are back in the top 5 of the world rankings. Does this surprise you in any way?
It really doesn't. These two have proven to be so resilient over time, both of them bounding back from injuries. Roger obviously has had a surgery, and the first substantial injuries of his career in the last couple years between his back and his knee. And, he had an injury and a surgery after playing with one of his children in the bathtub. So obviously he's aging. They're both aging, but we're seeing them both back at or near the top. And I think we're going to see them maybe on the up from there as well. They are obviously great on clay and grass and hard courts. They've won on all surfaces. And these guys are showing us some new tricks, especially Roger in the last 3 months.
Okay, I have a curious question. Now that fans are getting to see Federer and Nadal back in harness, is it good for the sport to have these two gentlemen playing at a high level again?
It is. It really is. They are well known by general interest sports fans, so they move units, whether it's their Nike stuff or whether it is ratings for ESPN and other networks who carry tennis matches. And so they're known worldwide. These guys are the stars. Those two, Djokovic and Murray, are the ones who really people are tuning in to see, who have even a passing interest in tennis. So it's wonderful to see them again at the top or near the top of the sport. And again, I love that Roger is giving us something different at age 35, taking that backhand on the rise and really taking time away from his opponents.
Well, you and I and a lot of fans are, I guess, very happy to see Federer and Nadal back at an elite level. I'm not sure if guys like Nick Kyrgios are happy. I think Nick can't wait to see Federer and Nadal retire so he can take over. I wanted to get your thoughts on what Nick Kyrgios has done so far in 2017.
Well, the last time he played Roger, it went to 3 tiebreak sets in Miami and really was the match of the event by far. He's played 6 tiebreaks in over 2 matches against Roger, won 1 and lost 1. So he's also won his first outing against Nadal ever, in addition to his 2 first matches he played against Djokovic. So I think Kyrgios doesn't shy away from competition. I think he relishes the role that he is inserted in, or that he inserts himself in. When he plays Roger or Rafa or Djokovic, he is the underdog. He's considered something of a quasi-villain even, and so he gets to play that card. And I think he relishes that. Certainly he'll go farther in majors and in really important events when they're gone, but a few guys will do the same, and they're all chomping at the bit for that, I'm sure.
Speaking of being a quasi-villain, is Nick Kyrgios behaving well? Do you see him maturing in 2017 and doing less of the antics that gets him into trouble?
Yeah, I think, it's hit or miss every tournament for him, sometimes every match, really, for him. I think the display that he showed toward the end of the final tiebreak against Roger in Miami was something indicative of what was going on with the crowd at the time. Smashed his racket not once but twice after the conclusion of the match before shaking hands with Federer. But I think really that was a very in-the-moment, very tense event that was happening, and probably anybody would react like that. It was a very rowdy crowd, but I think he's going to mature soon enough. It could be in 2017. This is a guy who already has a lot of accomplishments, honestly, on the court, and he's still 21. So we have to keep that in mind as well. This isn't exactly a tour veteran yet. He's not 25, 28. I think by 25, 28, you're going to see something of a more mellow Kyrgios, but I think he's also going to retain his core personality throughout. And honestly, we should appreciate and relish in that ourselves as fans and observers of the sport, because we need all types, all varieties, and personalities on the tour.
Well, Jonathan Scott, Tennis.com writer, thank you so much, Jonathan, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Me too.